I just want to welcome everyone back from lunch. I see folks are literally kind of flooding in at the moment. So I am going to, I think the thing that makes the most sense is welcoming everyone back. This is our final session for the 2020 Do Network Summit. The title of this session is Organizing Through Bridge Building. And I'm really excited to bring Mary Lim Lampe back to the Do Network. Some of you may recall that she was with us 2 years ago, virtually as well through Grizzly Creek and some technology that we struggled with. So I'm very excited that I'm glad to welcome Mary back to our network. And I've had some conversations with Mary, and I know that she and her organization Genesis have been doing some virtual trainings already. So I'm excited that they're back, and I will allow Mary to introduce herself, and then maybe afterwards we can do a round of introductions. Does that make the most sense?
Yeah, let's just go right into that. I actually have a few prompts.
Great.
So hello, everyone. My name is Mary Lim Lampe, and I am Executive Director of Genesis, which is a community organizing coalition here in Oakland, California. And we organize primarily institutions like congregations or faith-based groups. And we also have organizations that are part of us. We have three main issues that we organize around. And one of the campaigns is disability justice. So in the Venn diagram of organizing, this is how I met Russell, and I came to know the Do Network. So the way that I was actually thinking about the way that I can describe my own appearance. And so I decided to pick the top 3 things that I'm proud of about my own appearance. One is that unapologetic Chinese American. 2 is that I'm actually grateful for this as well. 50 years old as of last year. And 3, I am 5'1", and I try really hard, and this is on Zoom, I try really hard to make sure that I lean into my presence. So, so there's my description. I wanted us to start out with a bit of an icebreaker today. So if you can turn on your camera, if that's possible for you, I don't want it to compromise your Wi-Fi bandwidth, of course. But if you can turn on your camera, that's wonderful. I love to see you. And if you could, can everyone just say who you are? And I'm going to call people out just so we don't have to wait. Can you say who you are? And just so I know, can you say who you are, maybe what organization you're from, what city, and what access needs you have, and something that's bringing you joy. I'm going to put that in the chat, and I'm going to put it in the chat just so I remember. So your name, your org, the city you're from, access needs, and one thing that's bringing you joy. So that's why I just put it in the chat. Name, organization, city you're from, access needs, and one thing that's bringing you joy. Let's start with Russell, and then I'll go to Eric.
Hey everyone, my name is Russell Rawlings. I'm the statewide community organizer at CFILC. My pronouns are he and him. I am in Sacramento, California, and all of my access needs are being met. And one thing that's bringing me joy is the rain has brought me joy, although it's a nice contrast today. It's a nice, really blue, bright blue sky that I've got over here to my right. So that's definitely bringing me joy.
Thank you, Russell. And thank you, Carl, for reminding me to put down pronouns. So Eric, I'm going to go to Eric, and then next I'll go to Megan.
Sure. Hi. So my name is Eric. Let me scoot over a little bit so the interpreter can see me. Eric. My last name, Heckman, and it's him, his are my pronouns. And I am from Armas, California. And my accessibility needs are ASL, American Sign Language. I use an interpreter. And I'm not really involved in an organization per se. And so I think that's all the information you wanted to know, or was there something else I missed?
One thing that's bringing you joy.
Let me see. What makes me happy? That's kind of a challenging one. Let me see. It's good to see all of you and to meet new people, and just working on disability issues is what brings me joy. You know, knowing that I'm not alone and that we're all working together as a team. That really, I like that supportive nature, and just,
Great.
And I like the collectivity of everybody in the disability community working together to to bring hope for our future generations as well.
Thanks. Thanks, Eric. That's great. Megan, and then let's do Carl after Megan. Go ahead, Megan.
Hi, I'm Megan Cadell at CFILC in Sacramento. I use she, her pronouns. My access needs are being met. And currently I am listening in the other room. My parrot is talking. She's saying, hello, pretty bird.
That's awesome. Okay, Carl, then Cameron.
Hi, Carl. I use him.
Hi, I'm Carl Sigmund. I use he, him.
I have nearly repeating what I say as access support.
I have Neri repeating what I say as access support.
I work at the Free Center for Independent Living up in Grass Valley.
I work at the Freed Center for Independent Living up in Grass Valley.
So, right now, I am actually working from the East Coast.
But right now, I'm actually working from the East Coast.
Okay.
What is one thing that brings me joy?
What is one thing that brings me joy?
Yes.
For months now, I have been wanting to learn more about the one-on-one.
For months now, I have been wanting to learn more about the one-on-one.
So I'm really excited to be here and dive in with all of you.
Thanks, Carl. Oh,
So I'm
sorry.
really excited to be here and dive in with all of you. Yeah.
Okay. Sorry about that, Neri.
No,
Okay. Cameron. And then
Hello.
I'm going to call on Warren. Go ahead, Cameron.
All right. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Cameron. My pronouns are he, him, his. I'm currently in Sacramento. My access needs are currently being met. And I work with the CFILC. And a couple things that bring me joy, I'm going to do two. One is being in this virtual web conference / summit. I'm really enjoying learning about everyone and sort of expanding upon my knowledge since I'm rather new to the CFILC. And then two, I just had a big bowl of spaghetti, so my stomach is full, and I'm feeling pretty joyful about that because I didn't really have any breakfast. So I'm not only joyful, but also content too. So.
Thanks, Cameron.
You're welcome.
Okay, your turn, Warren.
Alert audio now on mute.
Hello, everybody. I hope you can hear me. This is Warren Cushman.
Yes.
Good. I am totally blind, and the two organizations I'm connected to are California Council of the Blind and Community Resources for Independent Living. My pronouns are he, him. In terms of my access needs, if there are any slides or any visuals, I'll need someone to describe that. And as far as what brings me joy, it's what Ed Roberts says: advocacy, advocacy, advocacy.
Thanks, Warren. Then I'm sorry, I don't know if I called you, but Will is next. And then I was going to go to Evan. Go ahead, Will Taylor.
Okay. My name is Will Taylor. I work for Peers, Placer Independent Resource Services in Auburn, California. My access needs are currently being met, and discovering new music that gives me joy.
Thanks, Will. Evan will be next. And then Cindy Soto, I thought I'd go to you. Go ahead, Evan.
Hi, I'm Evan Milburn. I am a systems change intern at CID in San Mateo, California. I'm also a Yo volunteer. My pronouns are he, him, his, and the one thing bringing me joy right now is use a Hamilton reference for all of you guys that might have seen Hamilton, but I like being in a room where it happens.
Okay. Thanks, Evan. I love Hamilton and I love Hamilton references. Cindy, how about Cindy, then Benjamin?
Good afternoon. My name is Cindy Soto, and I'm with CalLife in Los Angeles. And I have no access needs at this time. And my joy is my family. Thank you.
Thanks, Cindy. Benjamin, then let's go to Khulud. Go ahead, Benjamin.
Yes, my name is Ben McMullen. I work at Center for Independence of Individuals with Disabilities in San Mateo, but I'm zooming in from San Francisco where I live. All my access needs are being met, and my pronouns are he, him, his. And what brings me joy is just being connected, whether it be family, friends, colleagues, and also playing music.
Thanks, Ben. Khulud, then I thought we'd go to Carrie. Go ahead, Khulud.
Hey, everybody. My name is Khulud. Pronouns she, her. I'm in Modesto, California with community organizing advocate with DRAIL. And things I love very much music. I think I'm on the same level with everybody with that. And because my side gig is a DJ, so very big on that.
What's your DJ name, Khulud?
It's a Middle Eastern, so you won't be able to say it, but it's my nickname in Arabic. It's Khoha. So you got it. But for the most part, it's just DJ Khulud. So we're good.
Awesome. Okay, Carrie, go ahead, Carrie, then Maria.
Okay. Hi there, I'm Carrie Madden, and I'm in Chatsworth. I'm with CalLife. My pronouns is she, her, and hers. And I have no access needs. And one thing that brings me a lot of joy is my little kitty cat right over here. Meow, meow.
Okay. Thanks, Carrie. Maria, then whoever Talmadge House is.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Maria Magaña. I am the community organizer for Central Coast Center for Independent Living in the Monterey County area. I reside in Salinas. All my access needs are met, and honestly, anything and everything brings me joy. I mean, my peers at my office know that I can start laughing just about anything, especially about myself when I do silly things. So anything brings me joy.
Thanks,
Over.
Maria. Nice. Talmadge House, then Mohammed. I don't know who Talmadge House is. So you're on mute if you're
Talmadge, yeah, you're on mute.
Yeah. Hi.
This is Talmadge House. My pronouns are he, him, and his. I'm from the Disability Action Center in Chico, California. Brings me joy is my dog.
Thank you. Mohammed, then Boomit.
Good afternoon. This is Mohammed Rashid with DRAIL, Disability Resource Agency for Independent Living in Modesto. I will be logging off in about 2 minutes. So
Okay.
Sorry.
Okay, that's okay.
Oh,
Boomit.
Mohammed, do you want to share something that's bringing you joy?
Food brings me joy. Food and music.
Okay. Boomit.
My name is Bumit Shah. I work at the Dale McIntosh Center. It's in change advocate. My pronouns are he and him. And we always have access needs, so that's why we do the work we do. So access needs will never be met.
Okay. Amen. And is there one thing that's bringing you joy, Boomit?
A vaccine coming up next year so we can all see each other in person, hopefully.
Yes, thank you. Jacob Lesner Buxton, and then La Kenya. Go ahead, Jacob.
Hi, it's Jacob, he, him, ILOC, second Robert, and something that brings me joy is my mom knows how I'm teaching my mom how to use Zoom so we can be better connected.
I love that. It's hard, isn't it?
Yeah.
Okay. La Kenya.
Hi, good afternoon. This is LaKenya Pitchford with Service Center for Independent Life in Claremont. I am Systems Change Advocate. My pronouns are she and her. And what brings me joy, other than that music and food that Mohammed mentioned, what brings me joy right now is the fact that I have exactly 1 month till I graduate with my master's. So
woo! Nice.
That's what's bringing me joy at the moment.
I bet. Angracia, and then Aaron.
Hi, I'm Ingracia. I live in Van Nuys. I'm with CalLife in Los Angeles. And my pronouns are she, her, and Aya. All of my access needs are being met today. I don't know about tomorrow. What brings me joy, music can always soothe the savage beast in me. Food, especially if it's vegan. Holiday food, especially Thanksgiving food. Everything, every side dish of Thanksgiving makes me smile. Everything about the holidays right now, I think maybe COVID is just bringing me joy. And the fact that I got a Black Christmas tree. I'm so Nightmare Before Christmas type of person. So.
Oh my gosh, that's awesome.
Very
Thank you, Angracia. Aaron.
Hi,
Hey, Erin.
everybody. My name is Erin Watkins. I work at Community Resources for Independent Living in Hayward, California. All of my access needs are being met. My pronouns, again, are they and them. And one thing that's bringing me joy is me and my fiance a couple of weekends ago just totally rearranged our apartment, and now it actually feels like an apartment. It's quite nice.
Nice. That's awesome. Christina. Hi, Christina.
Hey, Mary, good to see you. Sorry for the dog barking. This is Christina from CFILC. My pronouns are she and her, and what brings me joy is my 6-year-old shenanigans and my dogs that go nutso. We have no communication with the outside world, and we miss it.
Okay, so let me go to Jay. Hi, Jay. Jay is connected to Genesis, and then Jay, then Monith. Go ahead, Jay.
So, hi, I'm Jay. I'm a junior at St. Mary's who is currently working with Genesis. I'm currently in Moraga, California, and my access needs are met. Also, I forgot to say my pronouns, they, them, theirs. And something that brings me joy right now is Christmas music. I'm normally not a Christmas music person, but I've been listening to all the classic Christmas music, and it's been bringing me so much joy right now.
Love it. Monith, then let's go to Alisa.
Hey everybody, my name is Monith. I use he, him pronouns. My access needs are currently being met. I'm from Pleasanton, California. Something that brings me joy is cooking. And one of the few positives that have come from the pandemic is that I get to do a lot more of it. So
Nice.
that's been kind of nice.
All right, Alyssa, then Juan.
Alyssa Norman, she, her, access needs are met. NSFW, jokes, memes, and video games.
Okay.
Yeah.
Nice. Juan, then Peter.
Hi, my name is Juan Arantes. I'm with DSLC here in Santa Rosa. My access needs are being met, he, him, his. And something that brings me joy, or something that's bringing me joy, are my 5-month-old pug puppy, who's just barking at Christina's dog, and knowing that I'm wrapping up my first year in my master's program.
Nice, woohoo! All right, Peter, then Peter, and then I've slightly lost track, but go ahead, Peter.
Hi, everybody. My name is Peter Mendoza. I am with the Marin Center for Independent Living as the Director of Advocacy. My pronouns are he, his, and him. What brings me joy so much? Community, music, having fun. I'm one of those people, I'm very social, so I'm taking some joy in kind of rediscovering how to be social with social distancing. And I love community and family.
Thanks, Peter. Jamie Lou, I think. Yeah.
Hi, sorry, I was on mute. Hi, Mary. I think I met you before at my Danny Youth Conference, so I hope you're well. Nice to see you.
Yeah, nice to see you again.
Yeah, nice to see you. But I'm also a community organizer at Krill. I work alongside with Erin. And I go by she and her pronouns. And one thing that brings me joy is, like Christina and Juan said, my dog. And also I like Christmas music and the holiday times.
Okay. Who hasn't gone? In my head, I believe Keith has not gone. Is that right?
Yes, I'll go. Hi.
Okay.
Thank you. Hi, this is Keith from CalLife, located in Southern California. Pronoun is he, him. Access needs are good. And what brings me joy are the election results.
All right, Keith, thanks. And then whoever P. Cole is.
I'm sorry. Hi, this is
Hi.
Pilar Cole, System Change Advocate for Community Access Center in Riverside. Pronouns is she and her, and my access needs are met. And one of my favorites, like everyone is talking about, my dog Shuggy.
Okay.
Over.
Thank you. Is there anyone that did not check in? And if so, just go ahead and unmute yourself and go ahead and check in. All right, we did it. Awesome. Okay, so just a few meeting agreements for this session. One is I'm definitely still learning and open to any feedback, especially around access needs. So I'm learning as a trainer and learning as an organizer. So if you have any feedback for me, please jot it down. The other thing is that absolutely use the chat, especially for any spirit-filled shout outs to each other. Just know that I in general don't monitor the chat. So if you're asking me a question, like someone like feel free just to shout out, you've got something you want me to recognize, because it's just a little bit too many moving parts to talk and look at the chat at the same time. And the third meeting agreement is just being mindful of the different perspectives and needs of the people in the room. I try to be mindful, and I just invite other people to be mindful. Is there any other meeting agreements that anyone would like to include or share? Okay, so hearing none. Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Russell.
One of the things I think that would be really good is, take space, make space. We use that a lot in our network. Be sure, if you haven't spoken much, be sure that you do take some space. Sometimes there can be big voids, and those voids are just waiting for someone to come in. So those are opportunities. And likewise, if you feel like maybe if you notice that you're sharing a lot, be okay with making room for others. Jamie also mentioned in chat, one person talk at a time.
That's great.
That's really good and important for our access, those who need access. I see Erin's got her hand up.
Okay. I think I agree with all of those. And I bet it would be really hard to do ASL interpretation if more than one person's talking. I don't know how you would do that. So I totally get that. Erin?
I was just going to say impact over intent. So when you say something or respond to someone, be aware of the impact of your words, no matter what your intent is.
Yeah, sometimes they don't match. And so just to be aware of that. Awesome. And I mean, I'm assuming it looks like we're recording, and I'm assuming that was okay with everyone. It was recording before I got here. So I'm assuming that that's okay with everyone. And also, this is a really good sign of, yes, I hear you. This is a thumbs up. I'm right now I have a thumb up in front of my face. And I'm pointing to my ear. When someone is on mute or we just can't hear you, this is usually a good sign. And then any other signs like that are really helpful, because it is sort of a weird thing to be talking into a box. I love responses because if we were in person, we feed off of each other's energy. So my session today is on building bridges amongst each other and doing one-on-ones. And just knowing what you know about your community. A lot of you are part of organizations that work with people with different abilities and disabilities. Why do you think it's important to build relationship for your advocacy and organizing? Why do you think it's important? And I will just look around for people with their hands up. Actually, that's another meeting agreement. How should we put our hands up? Should we put our hands up in the screen? I'm just putting my hand up right now, like in a screen so you can see it. Or how have you done it, Russell?
We've got a variety of ways, actually. Putting your hand up in the screen might work. I'm not sure. It can be difficult, though. There's on my screen, at least, there's 2 pages worth of cameras and folks participating. But there's also the option folks have to use the reactions down in the bottom of the screen. So feel free to use thumbs up, or I know there's also a clapping one that can be used as a hand raise, but then there's also just the raise hand button that Erin was making use of earlier. And I can, I'll try to, I know that it can be a lot to try to monitor all that. So I've got a second monitor that helps with having chat and all the participants over in that window too. So I might, if I see that people are doing, using things that are nonverbal, I'll call them out.
Thank you. Okay. So we'll just do our best. And a lot of times it just helps for me just to call on people. So the question was, why do you think it's important for your community, for the community of people who work with people who live with disabilities? Why is it important to build relationship right now? Like, why is this relevant right now? Can I start by asking Jacob?
Yeah, it's a difficult time in our country. We're so divided.
We're so divided. Excellent.
Yeah.
Evan, did you have something?
No, but I'll go anyways. I think it's important for us all to be on the same page and all roll the same way, especially when advocating for the same thing.
Yeah. So that we understand, we want to get on the same page, but also we need to find out if we're on the different page, right? Like, why are we so divided? What can we learn about each other? And Gracia, why do you think it's important that we build relationship amongst ourselves because of the work that we do? And you're on mute if you're talking.
To keep each other lifted, definitely, because it's a lonely situation.
Yes. People are really isolated from each other. How about you, Bhumi? Why do you think it's important that we build relationship?
Getting people to buy into the process and understand why it's important in our vision for what we want to accomplish.
I think that's great, that we need buy-in. And what do you think happens in our communities instead? People in general tend to not build relationship or stay divided. What do you think people do instead?
Cindy, is that your hand up to speak?
Yes, I cannot lift my hand, so.
Yeah, Cindy, that's great.
Yep, that's great.
Yeah, go ahead, Cindy.
People tend to isolate themselves.
Yeah.
And they could become depressed or just too sad to reach out to others.
So it builds on itself, doesn't it, Cindy?
Yes, that's true.
That people are isolated, they get more depressed. They get depressed so they don't feel like connecting with people, and they get more isolated.
Yeah, and it's important for us to build trust with the people we want to reach out to. So
that's a second thing, is that we need to engage with people. I think that who mentioned the election? It might have been Keith.
Yeah, that was me. Keith.
That Genesis focuses on engaging humans because we want to make sure we build power. We need to show up in the policymaking space with lots and lots of people. It would be fine if it was me and 3 people. It would be much more interesting if it was me and 30 people. And if it was me and 300 people, that becomes formidable. But if it was me and 3,000 people, then we're going to get listened to. Because the one thing we know, especially about local elections, is that we need lots of people to impact local elections, but many times the margins are very slim. So if we can show that we have a lot of people behind us, we're going to get things done, because elected officials are going to think we've got to pay attention to you. So I'm going to stop there. What do you think about what I'm saying? Keith, what do you think about what I'm saying?
I think you're right on. I also think we went through 4 years where there was a lot of work that was happening and nothing happened.
Yes.
So I think, without getting political, I think this is a really good time to organize and to be at the table, right? We have a new president, and he is someone that has a disability or had a disability. So I think it's a really good time, or it's a window of opportunity, to get in there.
Okay. Thank you.
Sure.
So the way that we start, this is the foundation of Genesis organizing. Genesis is also part of a network called the Gamaliel Network. And I don't even know. Let me spell it out for you. Gamaliel. This is for the ASL interpreter. Gamaliel Network is based in Chicago. It is the community organizing network that hired and trained President Obama. The foundation of our organizing, this is why we include people of faith. The foundation of our organizing is that we have values that we care about. Our values drive us. So does anyone want to just volunteer, or I'll just call on you too. How would you describe values? Salute.
One sec.
Oh, Juan, go ahead.
Yeah, sorry. That's what we do in our allocate meetings. We say stack. But values to me are your personal creed, just how you live your life, how you treat others.
Yes.
Fine. Just how you go on about your day.
Yes.
They might be in the back of your head, but they're also very present.
Juan, give an example of a value that's important to you.
Oh, very simple. I'm going to treat others how I expect them to treat me. I'm going to respect you if you give me that respect back.
There you go. So respect. Kalu, did you have another comment about values?
Yeah, I was basically I've had this conversation multiple times in the past 2 months about values and wanting, and you have to know what your values are, just so that this way you could, it's good to know them. I don't know how to explain it, but yeah. So the values could be honesty. Do you value honesty in yourself, and do you expect it from others? So you would want to be around honest people, so that's honesty, being, communication might be a value with some people. And then you would have to also define it. Don't just say honesty. Okay, so what is honesty to you? Can we have a white lie? Can we do this? There's multiple steps to that value also.
Sure. Cameron, you have more on values?
Yeah, I wanted to say that values, for me, it kind of guides your behavior, if you will, your principles. They're kind of sort of dictate your actions in a way. And, they're very important to me, because I try to, live my life with a sort of list of personal values, and guide my actions towards that. So I just wanted to add on to that.
So if you could, everyone who is able, just so we all can see some of the values, could you use the chat and drop in a value that's really important to you? And if you can't use the chat, if that's not something that is available to you, you can also just shout out a value and we'll put it in there. So we've got compassion, kindness, equity, inclusion. From Juan is respect and empathy, honesty from Cindy, sustainability from Carl. Cameron just dropped in integrity, bravery. Warren, do you want to share one? Be honest, no backstabbing for profit. That came from C. Cleo. Reliability is Russell. Love, family, knowledge, and Gracia. Values, community to help make change from P. Cole, I think Pilar. Peace, embracing difference of thinking. +1 for love and empathy. Humor, truth, respect and inclusion. We have a lot of shared value. Go ahead, Warren, did you want to share one?
Alert, audio now on mute.
I think I'll pass. I do have things to say, but I think I'll wait till later.
Okay, thanks. Just a value, Warren, just like a single value.
There's so many that are listed, I think I'll pass.
Yeah, okay. Peace, stability, truth from our leaders, integrity from Carl. So we have these values. Many of them we share as humans, right? Many times in our organizations, we share them. So my question for you is, many times in our public policies and our laws, our values are violated every day. Our values are violated every day. So I'm adding integrity, love, intersection. Peter, I bet this, what you mean is intersectionality. Yeah, I'm guessing that, Peter. Is that right?
That
Intersectionality.
is correct.
Okay,
I use voice
intersectionality.
activated software, and I couldn't get it to type intersectionality. And if I use the chat too much, I can't hear you.
Got it. So we won't use the chat too much. Intersectionality, I got it though. Intersectionality. So, but our values are violated every day. Our value. So can someone give an example of how our values are violated? How are our values violated? Go ahead, Alyssa.
The rules that are in place were created to uphold a system that was based on the values of previous generations and other organizations and governmental structures that don't support what we desire in this new era. So I think that in a way, almost all of our values are being violated.
Can you give a system, just to be really concrete, give a system, Alyssa, that like shows that our values are being violated?
Well, everything, school, medical, police,
Okay.
even our roadways and our walkways, like mental
Yes.
health,
There you
everything.
go. So when the COVID stimulus package happened in the spring, a bunch of money went towards the oil industry for I'm putting my hands up in air quotes, for a bailout of the oil industry. In that first round, public transit got $0. That's a violation of our values, right? Because they're valuing big oil, which means single-use cars on the road, which is terrible for the environment. And they're not valuing, they're devaluing public transit. So that means, which is better for our environment, but also how many of you take public transit? How many of the people in our communities rely on public transit 100%? Erin, you have something to add?
Yeah, I just wanted to add that the housing systems, the way that the housing system is built in this country is absolutely against every value that I personally hold dear. It leaves people homeless and starving on the streets. It has LGBTQ youth homeless at age 13. And it requires that you have to be a productive member of a capitalistic society, which is just not how things should be. Over.
Thank you. That's awesome. Thank you. So
I want to quickly shout out two things. One, in the chat, Carl has shared violated as a strong word. Can you define in this context? And then the second, I also want to point out that C. Cleo Ray joined after our introductions, and maybe if we want to give them an opportunity to say hello and welcome.
Okay. So the first thing, I have to take it in sequence.
Mm-hmm.
The first thing is violated is a strong word. This is what it is in the chat. Can you define in this context? Is the value of what did Erin just say of housing? What's the value that's violated? In general, that people should get their basic needs met, and that our policy should not make it harder.
Mm-hmm.
right, Aaron? I mean, that's essentially what happens. Our policies make it harder for a human. It's gotten actually worse for a human to be able to maintain rent and things like that, which are basic human needs.
When I said violated, I meant more of like I hold true that every single human being deserves a place to live that is safe and secure and theirs and will not go anywhere, because that's a basic human need. And our housing policies, not just in California but across the country and across the globe, violate those in the most morally violent way I can articulate.
Okay. So what go ahead, Carl.
Could I just add something?
Sure. Oh, sorry, Mary.
I agree with all that you're saying.
I agree with all that you're saying.
What? Maybe I'm just getting hung up on semantics.
Maybe I'm just getting hung up on semantics.
But for me, my values are at my core. They are how I live my life.
But for me, my values are at my core. They are how I live my life.
So they are. They just are. And they cannot be violated or supported or whatever. They just are.
So they are. They just are. And they cannot be violated or supported or whatever. They just are.
But again, I agree with where you're coming from. And this may very well be semantics.
But again, I agree with where you're coming from, and this may be semantics.
Carl, the reason that we use the word violated is because we want to make sure that our base of people are clear that it is a violation. You're right, we have these values that we hold dear. And when our elected officials enact policies that are counter to our values, we have to use words and language like violations and violated, because many of our people in the streets, in their living rooms, they are not paying attention. So we have to use strong language in order to get people moving. In order to make the changes that we want with these values that are violated, we need to build power. And our definition of power is the ability to act. Our definition of power is organizing people, lots and lots of people, organizing people and organizing money. So today, I see Alyssa. Today, we are going to talk about one-on-ones as a way to organize people. Organize people. We're not advocating. We're not using this as advocacy. We're using it as organizing. Getting people to come and work together so we can build power. Alyssa, do you have a question before I go on?
No, I really wanted to say something about violation.
Sure.
When you're talking about a thought or an opinion, it's a thought or an opinion. But when you're talking about a right, like the right to be alive in your own space without the infringement of other people's beliefs being placed upon you, whether that's not allowing you to use your wheelchair on the sidewalks, or not, or whether you're not being allowed to go to school because you're not seen as intelligent or something like that. That's a violation. That's violent. That is violently denying your right to exist as you are. And that is the difference between something that's just, a thought or a belief, and something that goes against your very nature, your very core, like you were saying, Carl. It's your core of who you are. Well, what if someone came along and said, here's this law that says you're not allowed to be who you are at your core? That's violent. That's violation.
Thanks. I see that Keith has a question, and then I'm going to describe a one-on-one. Go ahead, Keith.
So it's not so much a question, but a remark. So
Okay.
our values have been turned upside down. Just in the transition of what's happening now, the value of a peaceful transition, we all see that. And my concern about all this is the youth, right? Independent living centers are about advocating and bringing up new advocates. And when they look at what's currently going on, it raises a lot of questions in my mind. So, people have had a really tough time, right? We've had COVID, we've had the demonstrations, we had riots, we had looting. People can't see their loved ones in nursing homes. So when you talk about getting people together and, to organize and do things, I don't know if this is the time to do that. I question it at this point, because people are trying to just take care of themselves. There are so many people out of work, So,
well, I'll take the point. Go ahead, finish your last thought.
Well, go ahead. That's just what I think and what I see around me. So
I'll take the point. I do think, we started out, but somebody said the reason that we need to do this is because we are so divided.
Correct.
We are so divided as humans. And actually the way that our culture is, and think about social media and the way that we're in a pandemic, we need to find ways to feed the spirit of the humans that are in our network. And one thing that can do that is connecting with people with an intentional tool called the one-on-one.
Okay.
So an organizer in our network will be given the task to do as many one-on-ones as possible the first 3 months of their work. In fact, it's about 150 one-on-ones the first 3 months of their work. And what that does, a one-on-one is essentially a disciplined, intentional conversation with another person with 4 objectives. And the 4 objectives are in order. They're ranked by importance. So number one is to build a public relationship with that person. We are not doing one-on-ones for friendship or personal relationships. A one-on-one is a tool to build a public relationship with that person. The second objective, so number 1 is public relationship. The second objective is to understand the self-interest of the other person. What makes that person tick? What is their vision for themselves? What are they passionate about? The third reason that we do these one-on-ones, the objective is clarity. We do a lot of assuming who the other person is. This is a human thing. Sometimes it's based on appearance. Sometimes it's based on all sorts of things, implicit bias. So a one-on-one is a way to tackle that and be clear about who the other person is. Take some time to know who they are. The fourth thing is information. Now, why are these ranked? Because many times people, especially in professional communities, all they want is information of each other. They literally use the conversations just to tick off a box like a survey. I've had so many people who, instead of wanting to do a one-on-one, they wanted to do a Google Form survey with their person. Why do I pull my hair out and say absolutely not, no Google Form surveys? Why? Jamie Lou, why do you think I say no on the Google Form survey? What's your guess? And you're on mute. Yeah.
Because I was taking notes, that's why, sorry.
That's okay.
Because you really want to understand them and their needs and wants, and on a survey it's kind of hard to get all that info out.
You got it. So a lot of times we remember, many times people are, they want to sort of skip the step of building relationship with each other. The one thing we know is that if we are trying to build power and do things together without the relationships, it just ends up being not sustainable. We can do stuff together, but without that relationship, it ends up being much, much harder. So someone is putting in the chat, they're just thank you for this, Khulud and other people, that number one is to build a public relationship. 2 is to understand the self-interest of the other. 3 is clarity. And 4 is information. So we're going to take a pause. We're not going to just talk about one-on-ones. Let's do a one-on-one, okay? So what I'm going to invite you all to do is, number one, I would like to do a demonstration of a one-on-one, a demonstration. And I would like to see if Cindy would be willing to do the demonstration with me. Cindy, would you be willing?
All righty.
So Cindy, wait, Cindy, so you know, it will be real. It will be me asking you real live questions.
Okay.
And everyone will be able to hear. So it's going to be, if we were in room together, it would be like what we call like a fishbowl. So it'll be everyone, they're real questions, and it'll be me asking you questions and everyone will be listening. And it'll be about 15 minutes. Is that okay with you?
Sure, okay.
Okay.
Also, before we begin, I want to offer everyone, including Cindy, the opportunity to pause the recording. Okay. If that feels, is that something that folks want in general, or do Cindy and others, how do you feel? I want to make
can we
sure.
ask Cindy first? Cindy,
Yeah.
Would you like us to pause the recording?
No, it's okay with me.
Okay. And then I'm okay with the recording going, if that's okay. And,
great.
Is that cool? Okay. So what I would invite the rest of you to do, so Cindy and I are going to keep our cameras on. The rest of you could turn off your cameras. And do people know how to hide non-video participants? You can hide, and I know that we will still need our interpreter because you have to keep your camera on. I get that. So everyone else, though, can turn off their camera, and I don't want to mess up the access needs of anyone else. So if you have to turn your camera on, of course, that's fine. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and begin. And for the rest of you, if you could think about those 4 objectives: public relationships, self-interest, clarity, information. Think about Cindy's self-interest. Think about the questions I'm going to ask her, and think about if you understand what her self-interest is. Okay, just what is she passionate about? All right. Okay, so Cindy, thank you for being willing to do this with me.
You're welcome.
So tell me again, where do you live, and what organization connects you to us, to the Do Network?
Okay, I live in Long Beach, which is about 20 miles outside of Los Angeles, which is where our office is. And you asked me where I live?
Yeah. How do you connect to the Do Network?
Yeah, sure. Okay, I am a systems change advocate at Communities Actively Living, Independent and Free, which is in downtown LA. And I'm the systems change advocate there. I share the job with Carrie Madden.
Okay. What does that mean? I'm not totally sure what a systems change advocate does.
Okay. Well, usually, basically, I educate the community, community members, policymakers, legislators on disability-related issues. I monitor legislation. I make legislative visits. And also, of course, I work with consumers of our center to get them to make some type of action, political action, or community action to make things better for all of us.
Okay. Do you like the work?
I love it.
What's the best part about it?
Because I love, my middle name should be Justice. And this job really allows me to, I think, help justice along in our community and to encourage other people to seek justice for themselves and for our community. And yeah.
How long have you done it?
I've done this for like about 20 years or actually more.
Wow.
Yeah, over 20 years. Yeah.
How did you get into this work? Like, what was your education in?
Well, actually, I have a degree in art, but yeah, I started volunteering at a center in Long Beach, which is where I live, and I really liked. I just really liked the center, the people. I really love helping people, and I was a benefits counselor and crisis manager and all kinds of different things. And then I moved on to Cal Life, which is our acronym for our agency in LA. And now that's where I've worked the longest, doing community organizing.
So you have a degree in art.
Yes.
What kind of art?
Drawing and painting.
What was your vision when you were pursuing education in art? What was your vision for yourself?
I wanted to teach art to kids, especially kids with disabilities, because a person can really express themselves doing art of various kinds, and I think it's really important. And sometimes it's more difficult for kids with disabilities to really express themselves. So art is a great way to do it.
So can you give an example of a drawing or a piece of art where you were able to express something, just so I know what you're talking about?
Yeah, sure. Let's see how I can explain it. Well, I was born with a disability, but then after I became paralyzed, a spinal cord injury. So I came up with some rather powerful images after I became paralyzed. And I did with a graphics program. So I would put like a broken spinal cord with lightning and daisies and rain clouds and a broken tree. Yeah, that was probably the one I remember the most right now.
And so was the theme around was it your broken spine, and were the other images meant to say like what did the other images mean to say as part of the story?
It to me it depicted my my anger and my let's see, and the dramatic effect that the spinal cord injury had on my life.
How old were you when you had your injury?
Okay, let's see. This was 12 years ago. I was 60.
You were 60 years old?
Wait, no. I was 50. Sorry. Yes.
You were. Time just keeps marching on, doesn't it? So you were
Yeah.
50 years old, and can you say a little bit about what happened?
Well, actually, I was experiencing some neurological problems, and they thought, oh, we'll just give you a spine, we'll just go in your neck and do a spinal surgery and we'll fix you up. Well, they warn people that bad things can happen when you have surgery on your neck. And that's what happened to me. I was not paralyzed before the surgery, but now I am.
And so now you're paralyzed from
my shoulders down. I can shrug my shoulders a little. I can turn my head a little bit, but that's about it.
So, and it's been about 10 years, you said?
No, it's been, I think this is my 13th year now. I'm 63. Yeah.
Wow. What have you learned about yourself during this 13-year period of being paralyzed?
That I am resilient. I'm a very positive person. I'm a lot stronger than I thought. And yeah, I think, I'm not going to give up.
And how do you feed your spirit?
Usually it's pretty good. I have a very good support system, family, friends, and I know how to get what I need. Luckily, because of the IL movement. And yeah, I really feel pretty positive, actually.
So what were you hoping to get out of this training? It feels like it fits your work for sure, but what were you hoping to get out of it?
Well, I've done one-on-ones before, but it's been a while. So I thought, I could probably use some tips as to how to do it better and how to relate to other people better.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so that's what you're hoping to get out of that, about it. And what are you most challenged by or worried about with your work right now?
Well, because of the pandemic, I have found it more difficult to reach out to the consumers that I used to work with, because a lot of them, they do not have a computer. They don't even have a smartphone. The quote unquote Obama phones that people refer them to, the free phones, they don't do Zoom. At least many people have told me that they don't do Zoom. And so it's a lot harder to reach out to them. And I really worry about so many of them.
So that's the biggest challenge right now, is the isolation of the other humans.
Yes.
Got it. And did you grow up in California?
I sure did, right here in San Pedro, LA County.
And so if someone was just not from your county, how do you describe what it was like growing up where you grew up?
That's a good question. Well, I've always lived near the beach, so I would describe a beach town. Great weather, pretty good schools. Would I describe when I was a kid or now?
Now, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, same. Great weather. Great. It's pretty accessible in LA County, at least the part of the LA County that I live. And we have really good public transportation and great resources here if you have a disability.
Mm-hmm. Oh, good.
Yeah.
So, and do you identify, is your whole family in the Long Beach area?
No, I'm solo down here.
You're solo.
Everyone lives in Central and basically Central California, San Luis Obispo up to San Francisco. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And so what is it like being solo in the area with, what's your community and your network like?
Yeah, it's a little difficult now because of the pandemic. It really taints everything, unfortunately.
Yeah.
But I have a lot of friends, and I am a member of a church, so I do get a lot of support from them. I've been a member there for about 20 years. So, yeah.
Wow. So your church community is helpful. What is your church life like? What denomination, and what's your church like?
It's a United Church of Christ, and it's basically a Arts and Justice Church. That's how we refer it to. So members of the church are very, very involved in the community with issues of poverty, children, older people, homeless. I mean, everything really. And so I feel a big kinship with them because they're very involved in social justice issues. Also, I might want to add that we have a group of Racist Anonymous group, which I just joined. And so that also goes along with the training that we are going through yesterday and today.
What is Racist Anonymous?
Racist Anonymous, there's a Racist Anonymous International, and there are groups all over the world. And I joined the group that my church started here. And we explore our racist, implicit, I think that's the word.
Yeah.
Racist bias.
Got it.
Yeah, it's quite interesting. I didn't think I was a racist until we started talking about it. It's like, oh, yeah, I think that, or I saw that, when it's all racist.
So how do you, I'm curious about how you identify racially, because your last name is Soto.
Yes.
And so I was just wondering how you identify.
Yeah, Mexican American.
Yeah.
My father was born in Mexico and my mother wasn't, but she's born here. I grew up culturally, Mexican heritage culture from my dad's family and my dad.
So what is it like? How do you wear your identity as, someone from Mexico?
I know I can understand, and I try not to speak Spanglish, but I do that. And I know the quinceañeras and the mariachis, and I can relate to them when they mention, or I mention different cultural aspects of Mexico.
What about being a person who lives with a disability in the Mexican culture? Is there something that you know or feel is particular about your culture and being a person with a disability?
I feel a bit more isolated. I stayed home a lot. Wasn't involved in not really hidden, but a little bit, because it's not as accepted, I think. Or hopefully that's changed, but I'm not really sure.
Got it. So, Cindy, I'm gonna ask you one last question and then express my gratitude.
Okay.
As far as your work, I mean, is your vision at this point changing? I mean, we're in a pandemic. Is your vision for what you want to do with your work? What does it look like right now? Now that now that we're going through what we're going through, and that you sort of have this perspective as someone who is of your age. What's your vision for your work right now?
Yeah, it's really tough. Now is the time, now that everything has been thrown up in the air, now is a good time to get systems to change that are more positive to our community. Healthcare, especially healthcare, emergency preparedness, housing, all of it really. And so now is a time to speak up even louder, really, so that we can tweak the different policies and programs to better serve our community. So I've joined a couple of committees, councils, and I'm going to try to encourage others to do that. And if they're not able to join actually a committee or a commission, to tune into their board meetings, that sort of thing.
Yeah.
You
You want people to get activated.
Absolutely.
Okay. I'm just going to invite everyone to come back and thank you, Cindy.
Okay.
And if we could use your reactions, or you can just use your anything just to give like a gratitude for Cindy for being part of the demonstration. Let me start out by asking Cindy, what was this like for you? You can turn on your cameras, everyone, just so I can see you. Cindy, what was this like for you?
It's a little bit scary, to tell you the truth.
Okay.
Because
Okay.
all these people were listening to me.
Yeah.
They know so much more about me than I know about them. But
okay,
it's all right. I got used to that. After
Okay.
your questions.
Was there any question that I asked about, if you just think for a second, was there any question that you felt like was uncommon?
Was what?
Uncommon or unusual?
Usually they don't ask me about like people don't have really asked me about what it was like growing up. Since I was born so much, back in the 50s, what it was like no, not really.
So people don't really ask about that.
No, not really.
Okay. Is there anything else that was surprising or unusual?
Especially with the Mexican part of me, they don't really indulge into that. But no, I think you asked some really good questions.
Cindy, do you have a sense of why people don't ask about race, about the race of each other?
Yeah, that's a good question. They're afraid to insult the person they're talking with, I think.
Yeah. So thank you. And so the debrief with Cindy is now, I'm going to just pause. I'm going to debrief with the rest of you. What was it like watching this? What was this like watching this? How about you, Juan? Go ahead, Juan.
Yeah, it was great seeing the conversation evolve because I definitely saw the relationship between you guys kind of change as it progressed, and that was really neat to see. Yeah, the answers were getting more confident, and just everything was just evolving as the conversation went.
Okay. Thanks, Juan. Anything else? Any other just overall, what was it like watching this? Ben?
I've seen similar things before. Just this is more in depth than what I've ever seen. And yeah, the depth of getting to know Cindy really stuck out to me.
Okay. Was there a certain question that you felt like really underlined that, Ben?
I think I would pick up on what Cindy said, is kind of getting into the background of cultural ethnicity and exploring that
Okay.
a lot,
Okay.
or the depth of what you did, for sure.
Okay.
It was nice to hear, but I've never. It just went deeper than I've ever seen a one-on-one go
Okay.
to this point.
Is there anyone who felt uncomfortable?
I did.
I don't
It's
know
Will.
who that was. Sorry.
It's
Who?
Will.
Hi. Yeah, go ahead, Will.
Just how personal the questions were was kind of uncomfortable to hear.
Okay.
Especially in this format where there's an audience to the conversation.
Do you have a sense of why it caused discomfort for you?
I wouldn't want to be asked those questions.
Okay.
Although I've had conversations like that where people ask very personal questions about my disability.
Okay.
And I was comfortable sharing with that. But when you were asking about the specifics of her spinal cord injury, it was uncomfortable for me.
Okay. Any other people who felt uncomfortable?
This is Tel McHouse.
Hi.
I was uncomfortable at first when I started listening to it. And I want to thank Cindy for maintaining the composure and following through. The questioning was first invasive, and then the more comfortable you made her, the more information she started volunteering. becomes a technique. And these are techniques that are great to have. But as Will says, it's very sensitive and it's not comfortable. And some of us are not comfortable even knowing us being pressured for HIPAA, hearing it in a crowd like this, even though we did get the okay. But I commend your style and ease of getting her comfort in the zone and appropriating questions, filling her out, pulling out things such as the religion and delving into the cultural of the names, which brought into the areas of where you were at and how you were accepted and not accepted. And she expressed that there are areas I won't touch. So like I said, Cindy, I appreciate and thank you for your volunteering.
So, Cindy, is it okay if I describe you as my impression of you is you are tough as nails?
Sure.
I think Cindy is tough as nails. And so the questions, these were natural questions for me, they were. I actually felt like Cindy started out by talking about the pandemic. She mentioned it 3 different times. Did you notice? I get this feeling that Cindy is feeling the isolation that she expressed of her people. Is that right, Cindy?
Yes, that's true.
So one of the things, Will and Thomas House, I would say, is sometimes the discomfort is in us. Often it's in us. We sort of get this we've decided in our head that we should stay on the surface because we don't want to go deep. What's the cost of that?
This is Goldie Stack, Talmadge House. Hi. No, that I never say you were wrong. I agree with what you did. And the way in your style that you did it was great and it was tactful. These are skills as a systems change advocate and the people that you deal with, because you deal with systemic issues, that you have to delve deep in certain questions. And as it involving community, and you have these stories which we are supposed to grab, how do we get this one-on-one information? Hence going back to sending an email survey and doing what you did is becoming more personal, letting that person know that there's a voice and a human there, not something that's going to be cycled through, checked off, and put in a circle graph.
So that's part of the cost, right? Is that we, when we don't do things like this, when we don't dig deeper and hear the stories that we actually, like, people turn into what we don't want, which is we don't want people to just be a number on a page, like just a line on our Excel spreadsheet. We want them to be, they're real live humans that are living their lives and really impacted by things that we do in our work.
I resemble that because, like Will said, I have these conversations inside of an office because once you get that client that's comfortable with you,
right,
you need more information to help them to see what put them in the position. How can we create a support system, and where do we start with it at? Then we got to come out to the execution and who's going to help me with the strategy. Do they have a team?
Yeah.
Do we formulate a team? There's so many facets to it.
So many facets. How can they be pushed? How do they want to be challenged? So many facets to it, right? So there's a couple of things that we bring to a one-on-one. There's a couple of things we bring. One is, the first thing is courage. Courage. So this is a courageous act. It's actually not just a courageous act. It's an act of resistance. One-on-ones are an act of resistance. The world wants us to be separate from each other. Mm-hmm. So this is an act of resistance. Being with each other and being in community with each other is one of the best things to resist the oppressive desire for us to be divided from each other. The second thing you bring is curiosity. So courage and curiosity. Are there a few other things? Do I take notes? I actually don't. I take notes after because of the way my brain is as a 50-year-old. I take notes after just because I want to remember some key things. But I don't take note. I'm focused on Cindy. I'm not, and I'm, the second thing is, this is not counseling. It is not psychoanalyzing. So many of us, and I'm somebody who started out, before I was an organizer, I was a social worker. I worked with people with mental illness and many times co-occurring addiction. This is not a caseworker meeting. This is not psychoanalyzing. I'm not sitting there thinking about the origin of, Cindy's, like angst or anything. I'm not doing that. I'm just learning about her self-interest. So let me go to that question. That was your assignment. Does anyone have a sense of what her self-interest is or what she's passionate about? Anyone have an idea? Russell?
For me, I mean, right away, the thing that jumped out at me is that Cindy is someone who wants people to be connected. She wants the community to feel like a community. And it's interesting because it's an interest that's from her to help others be connected, which is a very different way. Usually people want the connecting, but she desires that those around her and those that she's in community with are connected to her and others.
So she shares that self-interest with you, doesn't she, Russell?
Yes, that's definitely something that I hold pretty dear.
So the point of understanding each other's self-interest is so we can find ways to collaborate with each other. That's what leaders do. They're creative and they're persistent about finding ways to collaborate with each other. So many times in our organizations, we are in silos going down the road by ourselves. What would happen if we would collaborate with each other intentionally and find ways to cut deals with each other, work together? What would happen if we joined resources and built power together? How would things be better for our community? So I want to give you all a chance to do this. Remember, we can talk about one-on-ones forever, and it will be really interesting and academic. The best thing to do is be in the body of someone who does it. So I believe, Megan, are you helping us with this? We're going to do breakout rooms. We are going to pair you up with a second person. And we're going to ask that you do a one-on-one with the person, the second person. You are going to be given 30 minutes, just 30 minutes. And you could, if you need to, you could use 5 minutes of that to take a break if you need to. You should divide the time in half, and person one ask questions of person two, and then halfway through switch. We are not going to put prompts out for timing because you're all adults and you all can figure that out, okay? And one prompt that I would give you is, do you really need a prompt? One prompt that I would give you is to ask the person what their vision is for themselves. So that's the first thing. What is your vision for yourself or your work? What is your vision for yourself or your work? And then name a time you felt powerful. So I just wrote that in the chat. What is a vision for yourself or your work? Name a time you felt powerful. If those prompts don't fit for you, just throw them out. Do something else. You heard what a one-on-one could look like. So, the encouragement is just to bring two things, courage and curiosity. So I'm just asking you, Russell, are we going to break out right now? What are we ready to go? What are we doing?
I'd like for us to take a break if we could, because I know that it's been a bit of a lot at the beginning. This has been a very interactive session, so I think it's a little easier for folks, but I think folks are probably ready for a short break. I do
So-
see that Carl has a question though, so I want to make sure we get to that.
That's fine.
Yeah. A quick question. Do you recommend reserving like 5 minutes for a debrief in our diet?
Quick question. Do you recommend reserving 5 minutes for a debrief in our dyads?
Ask your partner if they would like that. I think it's a wonderful idea. You're going to find that you don't have enough time. So that's the number one problem. Once we start asking questions of each other, it becomes like really, really fun. So that's going to be the biggest challenge. So Russell, I mean, I was actually thinking that the dyads or the pairs could just figure out a break themselves. Is that cool? And then they can figure out, or do you want it to be more formal? It's up to you, Russell. You're in charge. I don't want to make a decision.
This is Megan. I'm doing the signing, so whoever wants to be together, I'm happy to do that.
Okay. I actually think with the number of people, Megan, and making sure that we have caregivers or helpers or people assisting are in the same dyad, I think that random pair ups will be fine. And just make sure that we have enough for everyone to have a partner. And Russell, is that okay? Is that okay? And is that not just Russell? Is that okay with everyone? You work out a break within your dyad. And how about come back at 2:40?
2:40. Okay.
Yeah.
That's perfect. I did have someone communicating that they did have to leave right at 2:40. So I want them to be able to have the opportunity to have the experience too. So great. Okay. I think that works.
Okay. So that allows for like an 8-minute break and 15 minutes each person. And that's it. Thank you, Megan.
Great.
I hope it's not a pain, Megan.
Yeah, it's okay. I'm almost there. I almost have everyone in rooms.
Okay. And does everyone know how to access a breakout room? I just want to make sure.
Excuse me. Eric Heckman has a question. He just returned to the meeting from another meeting. So he would like to know what exactly is happening right now.
We're doing a pair up. You're going to do it with a second person. We're going to put the interpreters in a room with you. I'm sorry, it's Cameo. We will.
The other interpreter speaking. Go ahead.
Oh, sorry about that. We will. Honestly, it's just doing a pair up one-on-one with a second person is what's happening right now, and so I bet the second person, everybody's watched what a one-on-one is, and we've heard the description. So I bet your partner will be able to help lead you through. And we also, if you have any questions, I'll pop in and just make sure. Okay, I think that's everyone. Can I hear from someone that we haven't heard from? How was that? How was your one-on-one?
Like
I'll go. I'll go.
Go ahead, Carrie, and then I'll go to Eric.
Okay. I loved it. I found out there's somebody like me who has a lot of the same reasons for what we're doing, and we're headed in the same direction. And we really just clicked.
Awesome. Eric? So Cameo, you're on mute. I don't know.
I think it was a very good experience learning from each other. And it just really helped, like thinking, right, we do understand each other. We need to work together. We need to find a way how to improve, certain issues. And I really did appreciate, and I feel like I learned a lot from the experience.
Good. Anyone else? What was this like for you? Someone who hasn't spoken in a while.
What, Mary, your volume dropped pretty significantly.
I don't know what. What was this like for you? Oh, how about you, Savannah? Are you raising your hand?
Yes. I'll just say that it made me like look into myself a little more. Like I hadn't been thinking about anything that I was asked in a while, and so it not only did I get to learn about this other person, but I learned about myself too, which is
So
nice.
that's the third thing, Savannah. We say, the objectives of one-on-ones are to build public relationship, to understand the self-interest of the other. But 3 is clarity. And a lot of times sometimes you get clarity from asking questions. Sometimes you get clarity from hearing stories from other people, because it makes you think about your own experiences and how they connect. Because what Carrie just talked about is that all of a sudden you find the Venn diagram of how we connect as humans. So, and we are also, this is a quote from Saul Alinsky. Saul Alinsky is the godfather of modern day organizing. I'm writing the word Saul Alinsky, but I might be spelling it wrong as well. Saul Alinsky is the godfather of modern organizing. He would say that we are a pile of undigested experiences. We are a pile of undigested experiences. What is the cost of being a pile of undigested experiences? Someone who hasn't spoken. There's a there's a price we pay for being a pile of undigested experiences. What would you say, Christina? Oh, go ahead.
Mental health.
Mental health is a big one. What would you say, Christina? Oh, did she hop off? What?
Housing.
Housing. What do you mean?
Well, in order to ensure that housing is available for everybody, there has to be a lot of community organizing to get out there and make sure that housing is available for all.
So you're even getting it's even more urgent when you frame it like that. We have issues out there that fester. Our values are getting violated because our energies are so diffuse. We either have a group of people in the community who are not paying attention, or we have many, many organizations that are focused on 25, 35, 400 different activities. A lot of these issues go unchecked. So mental health is huge. When I was an organizer, a young organizer, when I was new in organizing, I met with a woman she was 21 years old. And one of the things she told me was that her mom died 5 years before. So when she was a teenager. And she said to me, this is for Will and those of you who are uncomfortable with questions. She said to me, I never talk about that. So and any time in a one-on-one, people are absolutely encouraged and invited to draw lines around themselves. Sometimes you don't want to talk about certain stories. It's too fresh. It's too hard. But the question I asked her was, what is it like not talking about it? What is it like not talking about it? And that was really like her face. I'll never forget it. She looked relieved. And she said to me, it's terrible. I feel like I wake up in the morning and I feel like I have to use my muscles to forget her. And then after that, she talked about her mom. So when we get uncomfortable, when we keep our relationships on the surface, just like pinballs with each other and just bounce into each other once in a while, we end up leaving people alone. So, you know, a lot of times in my one-on-ones, I am reflecting about how I can bring courage and just power through that discomfort, because I don't want to leave people alone. It's not powerful. If they become more isolated, more divided, that's not powerful. So one of the questions I had for you, you all have, in some way, you all have a self-interest in doing one-on-ones. If you agree with that, give me a thumbs up. A lot of you have self-interest in doing one-on-ones. Can you make a list of 10 people you will do a one-on-one with in the next 2 months? 60 days, 10 people. Approximately 1 a week. Can you make a list? And so take a few minutes, however you want to do the list. You can either write it down if that works for you, or type it, or just put it in your head. What are the 10 people you want to do one-on-ones with? In our network, community organizers have a running list of one-on-ones. I have about 25 people at any moment that I'm trying to get it on the calendar. Half the battle is getting it on the calendar. So
Yeah,
do your best.
and
Go ahead.
hi, my name is Eric, and I do have a question. When you're talking about the one-on-ones, are you talking about like family members on this list, or are you talking about professionals? I mean, because I don't have that many people to talk with in regards to policy issues or
Let's dig into that.
things.
Let's dig into that, Eric. Are there organizations in your city that do work around policy, or just work with people who live with disabilities?
No, I'm still trying to find employment. I've been looking for like 10 years, and I don't really know like where to start. I'm in contact with VR, but they really can't, express those kind of feelings like one-on-one. So organizations, I'm thinking, who would be good? Typically, the smaller organizations, to tell you the truth, often and sometimes I just feel rejected because of my deafness. And I feel like some organizations are focusing on the real physical portion, the visual portion of a person. But being deaf, it's hard to find an organization that would be willing to listen to me as a deaf person or my concerns. So that's been a challenge for me. I feel like that happens so often, that just feeling of being dejected, and
Eric, this is on some level, this is the reason people in the community do not want to do one-on-ones. So for you, it's them rejecting you because of your deafness. Your words.
Yes, correct.
For me, as a community organizer,
I've experienced that several times with organizations. Sorry to
yeah, I could totally see that. Many times people don't want to meet. Sorry.
I don't know what happened to him.
Okay.
And we're going to switch interpreters too, okay?
Thank you. That's helpful. Thank you for letting me know. That the world in general, like most of the time we do this exercise, and many people do not want to do this. So the definition of courage is, just dealing with all of this and doing it anyway. The other thing is thinking outside the box. if we could just build power and all we had to do was use Google and search, individuals and make a list of people who we could like co-create with, we would do it. So we have to just think about like, who is a network of people? Who are some people that we're curious about, that we can think outside the box with, who have similar self-interest with us? I bet, this is a safe bet. I bet there are people in the Do network that would be curious and courageous enough to meet with you. So that's one thing. And what you're bringing up is really helpful for this whole room. The world, like the individuals in all of the advocacy and organizing, it's an ableist world. Many times individuals and organizers have counted you out. But we've got to find a way to make sure that they pay attention. The organizers need pushing more than anybody to include people. If we truly are going to be inclusive and not just be like phony about it, then we need to find a way. We need to find a way. Sure, it's challenging. Of course it is. So, does anyone have a list that they want to share? Maybe this would help right now. Does anyone have a list that they would like to share of a few people, where you could just describe for us what your strategy is? Someone who hasn't spoken, or someone who has a list, who seems really clear about their list?
I'll go. If no one.
Jamie.
Okay, so as you know, Mary, I'm very active. I have a youth group called Danny through Creel, and I immediately off the bat thought of you. And even before this whole thing started, I met a lady on paratransit that also goes to Creel. She's also one of our longtime consumers. And I've been checking in with her, making sure she's okay. Sorry, my dog's barking in the background. So I've immediately off the bat thought of the youth.
Okay.
So that's my strategy.
Okay. So Jamie's job is as a community organizer and already connects with youth. And there's a lot of youth out there, right? They need connection with people who are like them. So maybe Jamie has a list of 3. And at the end of every one-on-one, Jamie could say, do you have anyone you would have me meet with? Because I'm trying to know people more. Can you imagine that, Jamie, that maybe they would have a friend that they would like refer to you? And maybe they would have a caregiver who really cares about these things. And maybe they have a sister who, maybe that sister doesn't have a disability yet, but maybe that sister is really interested in advocacy and organizing. You never know. Anyone else have a list? Khulud, what about you? What's your list?
Okay, so I actually Evan we're meeting on Tuesday, but he's on my list because we're going to be meeting for You Disabled and Proud. And then I also actually, there's some people that are in this group that I don't know. Well, I know, but I don't know. Like Will Taylor, I'm like, okay. And then Benjamin, I even asked Evan, I was like, is Ben nice? Like, so I was just like,
I consider myself nice. I don't know about other people.
Oh, I think all of you, Ben.
He did. He said he's very nice.
He's a good guy. He's a real good guy.
Honestly, the list was pretty much from this group. And then in Garcia, I was like, okay, Goldie, like all these people. And even I was thinking for Eric, like, yeah, he doesn't have a job, but I was like, we could make it, because some of us can't lobby. We could use him to lobby. So like
Right.
there's a bunch of things like, you know, like I was-
Khalud is right. So Khalud already is like got energy and understands that there's a lot of people in this room, this Zoom room, that have this similar self-interest as they do, right? So what is a way that we can think outside the box and network with each other and break out of the silos and be imaginative? Eric, I would just want to look at you right now. Don't use your disability as an excuse. You get excluded. So many people who are like you get excluded. Don't let that happen. Don't count yourself out. Because organizers in different organizations, they need to hear from you. So my favorite kind of leader has the quality of persistence. They will find a way and make a way. I am going to put my information down in the chat. And so I'm typing in Mary Lynn Lampy, and I will put in my organization's email and my phone number. So gamaliel.genesisca@gmail.com, 510-882-3404. Genesis is constantly looking for stories and experiences of people who live with disabilities, especially in the East Bay. We will have a public transit forum on December 3rd at 11:30 via Zoom. Because as you know, public transit is really, really struggling. And we are trying to push on our members of Congress to save public transit. So that's my little commercial. Any one of you is invited because it's on Zoom. All you have to do is zoom in. I will send the info to Russell so he can communicate that all to you. Absolutely use the chat, but also use this network. I mean, what I love about DO Network, what does it stand for? Disability Organizing Network. Be a network. Think outside the box. Force your way in.
I just want to really highlight to Mary very quickly what you were saying, you know, hold the organizers accountable. And I'll tell you, one of the top people at my list, and this is me being brave and sharing this at this moment, is Alice Wong. And, you know, I think sometimes we need to talk to people who are kind of at the top of cultural messaging sometimes and be brave and reach out, you know. Even if someone you imagine that they're super busy, you'd be shocked sometimes. They can, you know, find time. So I just want to say too that I'm always open to one-on-ones, and I my list is mostly comprised of people that have signed up here that I've not yet met, and there have been a few. So, yeah.
You need to meet with Eric.
I absolutely need to meet with Eric, and he's on that list.
Did you hear that, Eric? Oh,
Well, I had the pleasure.
Did you hear that? Yeah,
I had
and
the
Gracia.
pleasure interviewing Eric. I was
Oh,
the one
great.
who was able to interview him.
So it worked out great, didn't it, with the
Yeah.
interpreters?
So I'm going to say for everyone else, interview Eric. And this is the person that wants to be our policymaker, our lobbyist. This is the guy that we need to be lifting up in
Yeah.
order to do these things. This is the person that wants to be out in the galley, that wants to be there doing that fight for us.
Thanks for pushing that. The best person to push on that is Eric himself, right? And Gracia is that
No
he's got to
doubt,
push
most
it
definitely.
because
Yes.
persistence is really like key here.
Yes.
So that's the end of my time. I just want to make sure that I'm respectful of all of you. Thank you so much for inviting me to this space. I really appreciate the opportunity to learn with all of you and find ways to build power. It's all about building power and making sure that we are finding ways to make the change that we want to see. So thank you all. I am seeing lots of contact info. That's what's
Yes.
happening in the chat right now.
Yeah, thank you all. I'm going to be building a contact list based on those who have provided info when registering. So will also be going out to all of you. Tomorrow, I'm going to work on, just so that everyone knows, you'll be getting email from me with some survey link info, and also all of the material. As soon as these recordings and materials are all compiled, you'll be hearing more from me directly around this. But just know that I want to really thank Mary. I also, would like to, if you all are okay with it, kind of create a space here where we can kind of debrief the experiences of the week. And also, I have another piece of the one-on-one. I'd really love to hear folks that feel willing to share their list. Find someone either in this network or maybe a trusted family member or friend, share your list with them and have them ask them this specific question: will you hold me accountable to finishing these? And that will help you actually complete the task, because they're going to ask you, have you finished your one-on-ones? And those reminders are so important. Mary really hit on the head that the most important thing is getting them on the calendar. Once they're on the calendar, it becomes really easy. And yes, it's so much gratitude from Mary. This was a great way, in my opinion, to end out our 2 weeks for some and week for others of summit activity. So, and thank you for also extending the opportunity for the East Bay Transit conversation. I think that there are definitely some folks, especially in the Bay, that would be interested in being a part of that. So.